This is Honors Geometry Review 17. That's due Friday the 17th, and the test 17 is also due Friday the 17th. Number one asks you to find, that's how to find the magnitude of the vector. Those absolute value brackets, they look like absolute value, it's magnitude of the vector. So first, you have to find the component form of the vector. So if you look at the vector, it looks like this. It's actually right 1 up 4. So the component form is 1 comma 4, but that's not where you stop. You've got to find the magnitude. The magnitude is the square root of x squared plus y squared. So you would do the square root of 1 squared plus 4 squared, which would be the square root of 17. And you can leave it as a square root of 17, or you can give a decimal. Doesn't matter, either one. Then on number 2, you've got a car in an animated cartoon will move from point. So you've got point 4 comma negative 1 along the translation A and B. We want the positions of the car. So we want the two positions. So if I take 4 comma negative 1 through this, that means I'm going to subtract 6 and subtract 9. So the new point is negative 2 comma negative 10. That's the new one. That's one of the answers. Now we have to take that point and move it through this translation. Move it through the 6, 6. So that means I'm going to add 6 and add 6. I'm going to add 6 to the negative 2. I'm going to add 6 to the negative 10. So that's going to give me 4 comma negative 4. Don't graph this. You're not asked to graph it. Don't graph it. Then on number 3, we've got a helicopter. It's hovering in the air 460 feet off the ground. Lewis sees the helicopter at an angle of elevation of 47. So Lewis sees the helicopter at an angle of elevation of 47. The helicopter is up here at 460. This is Lewis. Then we have Teresa, who sees the helicopter at an angle of elevation of 63. This is 460, not degrees. And we want to know who is farther away from the helicopter. So this is Teresa. Farther away from the helicopter, if the helicopter's up here, you're looking for that distance. So that's like a sine. So sine of 47 is opposite 460 over hypotenuse. And so x would be 460 over sine 47. And so x is about 460 divided by sine 47. So that's about 628.97. That's for Lewis. And this is in feet. So make sure you've got it labeled. That's one of the answers. Now we do Teresa the same way. Teresa is going to be a sine as well. So sine of 63 equals 460 over x. Sorry, y. We've already used x. So y is 460 over sine 63. So y is about, so we do 460 divided by sine 63. And we would get 516.27 feet. So there's 3 different answers on this. You have to show what Lewis did, or where Lewis is, how far Lewis is, how far Teresa is, and then you have to say who is farther away from the helicopter. Lewis is farther away from the helicopter. Okay? So you have to show all of that. All of this. The triangles. The 2 triangles. You have to show the triangles. You have to show the triangles. You have to show your equations and how you solve them. Show the answers with labels and who is further away. So make sure you do all of that. And that you do all of that on the test as well. Okay, then on number 4, you have a circle on number 4. That's actually got 2 tangents, and this arc is 97. So we want this angle back here. You want angle B back there. You want that angle right there, okay? So we have to find this arc. So to find that arc, it's 360 minus 97. So 360 minus 97 gives us 263. Then you do 263 minus 97 divided by 2. So 263 minus 97 divided by 2, and you get 83. So make sure on your calculator that you do your subtraction first and then you divide by 2. Okay, so make sure you do that. Then on number 5, you have an isosceles trapezoid. In an isosceles trapezoid, you've got diagonals congruent in an isosceles trapezoid. So diagonals are congruent in an isosceles trapezoid. One diagonal is 23.3, and then DE is 12.8. BD is a whole diagonal. DE is part of the diagonal. Let me show you. DE is like from here to here. This is 12.8. And this is 23.3 because the diagonals have to be congruent. They give you BD. Well, that's right. They give you BD and DE, so they must want AE. They want this part, AE. Well, this part is going to be congruent to that part because it's the way isosceles trapezoids work. So if the whole thing is 23.3, which means even AC is 23.3. See, this is AC and BD. And then DE and EC are 12.8. Okay, so you can do 23.3 minus 12.8, and you get 10.5. Feet. Make sure you label. Make sure you're labeling everything. Make sure you label that. Then number 6, you want the volume of a sphere. Volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. That's volume of a sphere with a radius of 21. So 4/3 pi and then 21 cubed. You can, I would just type this in the calculator, really. So you do 4 divided by 3. Use your pi key, and then times 21 cubed. And you can do times 21 times 21 times 21, okay? And then, give me at least to the nearest hundredth. And make sure you put feet cubed on it. So it's about that. So that's number 6. Number 7, you want the lateral area of a regular hexagonal pyramid. Lateral area of a pyramid is the perimeter of the base times the slant height divided by 2, or 1/2 the perimeter of the base times the slant height. Well, this is a hexagon, a regular hexagon that has a side length 6. So my perimeter is 6 times 6, so my perimeter is 36. They tell me the slant height is 26. They give me the slant height, and I divide by 2. So 36 times 26 divided by 2, 468. Feet squared, 468 feet squared. Oh, my 4 looks bad. 468 feet squared. Then on number 8, you want to calculate the surface area of a cone. So it's area of the base, which is really pi r squared, plus pi r L. That's the surface area of a cone. Pi r squared plus pi r L. So let's see, do we have everything we need? L is the slant height. I have the radius, so pi times 12 squared plus 12 times pi times my slant height, which they tell me is 16. So I have 144 pi, and then 12 times 16 is 192 pi, and then I add that 192 plus 144 gives me 336 pi, because we have to put it in terms of pi. So make sure you put it in terms of pi. So that's number 8. Number 9, you're just looking at deciding if the plane is perpendicular to the prism's altitude, what figure is the cross section? Well, a better way to put that on number 9 is that it's parallel to the base. The cross section is parallel to the base. Like the cross section looks something like this, and then your base is also like this. Well, when they're parallel like that, it's the same as the base. So this would be a triangle. If it's perpendicular to the base, because they say on this perpendicular to the altitude, usually you talk about being parallel to the base or perpendicular to the base. If you're perpendicular to the base, then it's a rectangle. It'd make a rectangular shape in this one, okay? But parallel to the base is the same as the base. If it's parallel to the base, meaning perpendicular to the altitude, that's the same as saying parallel to the base. If it's perpendicular to the altitude, parallel to the base, it's the same shape as the base. The cross section is the same shape as the base. So read them carefully. Okay, then on number 10, you have A is 0, 5, B is negative 5, 5, and C is negative 3, 2. And it says to graph it. Do not graph. That's my last warning. Y'all are still graphing. I've told you not to graph. I don't want them graphed. So if I see anything like number 10 on the review or on the test, if they're graphed, I'm counting them wrong because I've told you over and over, I do not want them graphed. This is a 180-degree rotation, which just basically changes the signs on your coordinates. So A prime would be 0, negative 5. B prime would be 5, negative 5. And C prime is 3, negative 2. This is all I want to see. I don't want to see the graphs. I don't want you to graph them. I do not want you to graph them. So make sure you don't graph them. Do not graph those. Okay, so then on number 11, you've got to solve the system. So you're going to take the two and you're going to set them equal to each other. And if you want to, before you start, after we set them equal to each other, because they both equal y, so we've set them equal to each other, you can multiply everything by 3. If you want to, you don't have to. So if I multiply everything by 3, that's going to give me 2x minus 27 equals 4x minus 39. So then we subtract 4x, that is negative 2x, minus 27 equals negative 39. Add 27, so negative 2x equals negative 12, divide by negative 2, so x is 6. And some of you stop right here, which is incorrect because you only have x. You need to find y. So take that and plug it back into one of them. One of the original ones is y equals 2/3 x minus 9. So 2 over 3 times 6 minus 9. So 3 goes into 6 and leaves a 2. 2 times 2 is 4 minus 9 is negative 5. So 6 comma negative 5. Make sure you write it as an ordered pair. 6 comma negative 9. So that's number 11. Then on number 12, you've got that wheel looking thing again with your common tangents. And this is 31 and this is 9x plus 4. And this is 14x minus 4, and this is 12x plus 2. And then you've got A and C and B and D. First thing you want to do is find out what x is. So remember, these are congruent. Those are congruent. These two pieces are congruent. So 9x plus 4 equals 31. Subtract 4, so 9x equals 27. Divide by 9, so x is 3. Y'all may have had this on the last review and the last test, I think. Seems familiar. Then you're supposed to find from A to C, B to D, and C to E. Well, C to E is right there. C to E is 31. Feet. And then A to C and B to D equal the same thing. So we could put 12 times 3 plus 2, or we could put 14 times 3 minus 4. Either way, you get 38 feet for both of those. So you've got your X, label for CE and AC and BD. So that was number 12. Then number 13, we've got 56, this is 9, this is A, and we want to find A. So this is either sine, cosine, or tangent. Remember, sine uses opposite over hypotenuse. cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. Okay? Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, tangent is opposite over adjacent. So here's my angle. I have opposite and adjacent. I do not have the hypotenuse, so I can't use sine or cosine either one. So tangent of 56 is opposite A over adjacent 9. So then we just move and multiply by 9, and then type that in your calculator, 9 tangent 56, and we get 13.34, about 13.34. Had a little video bomber there. Yep, that was my baby boy leaving. Okay, then number 14, you have cosine of 80. Type that in your calculator, round it to 0.17 because it wants it to the nearest hundredth. Number 15, making a sketch that's 16 by 8. So 16 by 8 wants to increase it 125%. So you would just do 16 times 1.25 and get 20. So on the new one, this is 20. And then 8 times 1.25, and you get 10. Okay, so those are the new dimensions, which it asks for that, and it's got to be inches on that. And then those are the lengths of the side of the painting. How does the perimeter of the sketch compare to the perimeter of the painting? So you don't have to find the perimeters. You can just do 8 over 10, or you can do 16 over 20, either one, and find the scale factor. So it's 4/5. That's how they compare, okay? That's how it compares. Then let's see. We want the area of an equilateral triangle. So number 17, area of an 16. Area of an equilateral triangle. This is 22. So remember, area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. The thing about this equilateral triangle is we're just given the side lengths. We're just given the side length, which is 22. So remember, the height of an equilateral triangle is side divided by 2 square roots of 3. That's the height. Side divided by 2 square roots of 3. So 22 divided by 2 square roots of 3. So 11 square roots of 3. So my height here is 11 square roots of 3. So you do base 22 times 11 square roots of 3 divided by 2. So 2 goes into 22, leaves an 11, so 121 square roots of 3. Meters squared. There's the photo bomber again. Then number 17, we are wanting the equation to relate all the x and y coordinates of the points that lie on circle C. So circle C, so equation of the circle, x minus h all squared plus y minus k all squared equals r squared. With a radius of square root of 10, so I write all this down. Circle C, here's my equation of the circle, right there. My radius is a square root of 10. My center is at the origin, so 0, 0. When your center's at the origin, it's just x squared plus y squared. And it's the square root of 10 squared. Don't leave it that way. That's x squared plus y squared equals 10. Then number 18 is a translation. You need to go back and look at lesson 67. All of these have the little numbers underneath it. Go back and look at lesson 67 and know the difference between translation, reflection, rotation. Number 19 says to use the parallelogram method. Do not, just add them. It's 1, -3 and 1, 2. So it's 2, -1. And then the last one, I just erased my video bomber. This is 7, this is 9, and we want theta. If you want an angle measure, that's an inverse sine or an inverse tangent or an inverse cosine. Okay? Well, we have to decide. Here's my theta. I have opposite and hypotenuse. Sine is opposite and hypotenuse. Tangent is opposite and adjacent. Cosine is adjacent and hypotenuse. So I have to use inverse sine here. So inverse sine of opposite 7/9. Type that in your calculator. Make sure you round it to the nearest degree. So second sine, 7 divided by 9. Second sine. You get your second key, second sine, 7 divided by 9, 51. So it's about 51. And that's your review. Your review and your test are both due Friday. Friday the 17th, that's when your review and test are due. There's another lesson that's going to be due, but it's not going to be due till next week, so I'll send out that video Tuesday or Wednesday.